Washington says it won't reveal the details of its cooperation with Dutch investigators over the crash of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 in East Ukraine. The question of how much the US has been sharing with the probe was indeed raised this week by MPs in the Netherlands.
Dutch lawmakers are not at all sure that Dutch investigators have all the data they need to prosecute those responsible for the downing of MH17. They just had a hearing on the investigation, and a member of the Dutch parliament cited the public prosecutor's letter saying investigators don't have images of the missile launch location because it was a cloudy day. This has raised some eyebrows in the parliament, considering just days after the plane was shut down in July of 2014. Secretary of State John Kerry said, "We picked up the imagery of this launch. We know the trajectory, we know where it came from, we know the timing." Well, the U.S. State Department now refuses to say what kind of data the U.S. has since shared with Dutch investigators.
Do you know if data included satellite images or radar data?
I'm not going to be able to give you much more detail than that.
Has there been...
You didn't give any detail at all.
Well,
not much more. There's none.
Well,
Can you confirm?
that's a subjective opinion on your part. I thought I gave information. I said that we're helping. I'm just not going to talk about exactly what we're helping with.
I'm not asking what specifically. Does that mean you've given them information?
It means that we've continued to communicate and
Well, I don't know what that
them.
means. We're continuing to communicate right now, but I'm not. I'm not getting any answers, and no one else is here. So what does that mean? Continue to communicate. Have
It
you or
means
have
that we
you
are
not
cooperating
given
with
any
them and
information?
assisting them
Does
in their
that-
efforts. I'm not going to get
Does
into
that
the
mean
details
that
of
you-
what that is.
But that answer means nothing, though. Have you given them information, data, what any kind?
I've answered the question.
So there's some confusion now, almost 2 years after the tragedy, what data Dutch investigators have and what they don't.
International foreign policy analyst Derek Monroe says that Washington's failure to reveal the information it shared with the Dutch investigators is disrespectful, not only to the victims, but also to their families.
As you can probably tell, this issue has been very heavily politicized, and not only Dutch governments were involved, but also Malaysian government for many, many months actually tried to get any kind of degree of evidence, any kind of degree of electronic trails, not only from the Ukrainians, but also from other sides of the conflict in Ukraine. And apparently, they've been completely locked out, and the Malaysian government even went on record complaining about this. Not to mention also Australians, they were sending their own investigators to the crash site and try to get the right information. Maybe the evidence which is being shared with the Dutch investigators is not as conclusive as been publicly disclosed by Kerry. At the end of the day, it's really disrespectful to the victims and their families, because ultimately I think the truth has to really be revealed. And if our government is holding something out, it is really discrediting itself at the same time.